CHML, you're watching on Cable 14. Name the newsmakers coming up about 10-15 minutes from now. Right now, though, Theo Selles, Integrity Works, and the author of the book Selfishness Matters. And it's tongue-in-cheek, gang. It's not.
I have had people think that I'm actually encouraging them to be more selfish. They go, "Why would you want to do that?" I go, "It's a parody." It says on the book, "It's a parody."
Yeah, and it's basically, I guess, casting the light on the therapists, the Dr. Phils, and so many other people that have made a huge living and a huge fortune doing this sort of thing, and basically telling people that you got to clean up your own act.
That's right. I'm going to tell it like it is.
Yeah, well, there he goes, but he's still doing it. Introspection, the fact that we're all part of a bigger plan, but there's opportunities, and the book's a great read, by the way, and a quick read. It won't take you too long at all to go through this, and you'll find yourself asking questions about yourself, which is really, I think, the point of going to therapy and getting help in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that if you want advice for people to tell you what to do, you've got ample opportunity to get that from your friends and family who will be full of advice to tell you what to do. But I think a real
I got all kinds of people that'll tell me what's right and what's wrong with me.
Absolutely. A therapist is someone that gets
they're
you
all
to
on
think.
speed dial. You know, if I want to feel
Right.
good, I'll call this one. If I want to feel lousy about myself, I'll call this one.
That's right. You have fans who will tell you what you want to hear and stroke you and tell you you're wonderful and that you don't have any problems. But a therapist, I think, is someone who challenges you and makes you think about yourself and how you relate to other people as well.
I don't know if we talked about this on the air, but you and I have had this conversation in the past about, obviously there's the Dr. Phils and those stereotypical TV or talk shows, whether it's the Dr. Laura's or Fraser Crane or something.
Right.
You kind of held up the Robin Williams character in Good Will Hunting as a guy who gets it right. I mean, you figure Robin Williams nailed in that movie as to how a therapist should actually act.
Yeah, I actually do recommend to my clients and potential clients who are thinking about getting a therapist to get that movie to prepare them for what real therapy can be like, which is an honest experience between two human beings. And, neither of us necessarily know the right way of dealing with things. We both have struggled, and there's no necessarily right answer.
So you don't go in there thinking I'm the expert.
I think, I think a lot of clients come in and
you're a smart guy.
Expect that I'm the expert. What I have learned, the smarter I've gotten, is realizing how little I know, right? That's sort of the wisdom. The more you know how little you know. And my expertise really is in being comfortable in not knowing. I'm all right with not knowing, but I've got a ton of questions that I ask people to help them figure out what's right for them.
Well, how do you deal with somebody who comes in there and basically says, Theo, you got to fix me up? In other words, they're looking for a checklist when this is all done.
Yeah.
If I do this, this, and this, I'm going to be a happy guy.
Well, if they're looking for that, we can try to figure that out and see if it works for them, but I don't necessarily know what they should do. I'm not interested in telling people what to do. There's more than enough people in the world that will tell other people what to do. I'll try to figure it out with them. We'll put our heads together and we'll muck through it and come up with different possibilities. We'll try different things and maybe we'll figure it out.
All right, let me get inside your head for a second.
All right, do it. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, because we've talked about expectations for the client when they begin therapy, whether it's with you or anybody else. And there's some very talented, wonderful people that do this. I mean,
sure.
We were just talking about stereotypes and people, therapist.
Right.
The world would be an ugly place if we didn't have people that knew how to help other people out. And there's some people do a great job of that. Others not so much. And which is the premise of the book. What's your role as the therapist? And we talk about the expectations of the client, of the patient, as it were, when they go in there. What's the role of the therapist?
I think that
we kind of know what they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
We don't want the preachy Dr. Phils, and we don't want the condescending Dr. Laura's. Are you trying to be their best friend? Are you trying to guide them, to manipulate them, to lord over them?
I hope I'm not.
You got the power.
I do. It's a very powerful position. Seriously, it has a lot of potential for harm. So my role in there
I'm vulnerable, Theo. I'm coming to you and I'm vulnerable.
I won't hurt you. Bill, honestly. But I think really what I want to do is be their ally. I want to be someone who's in there with them and trying to figure it out. I want to be able to muck through life with them and ask really interesting questions and be able to say, I mean, obviously I've got a lot of experience and a lot of training. I might say, have you tried looking at it this way? Or what if you tried to do that? Why don't you give that a go and come back and let me know how that works for you? And one thing that I really think is important for me to be able to offer my clients is this experience of challenging non-judgment. So I want to challenge them in a way. I want them to be challenged in terms of their thinking, but I also want them to feel really completely safe to be able to be themselves and to know that no matter what they tell me, no matter what they say, no matter what they feel, no matter what they think, I'm not going to react to that and think less of them. And so it's this really great free place for people to be able to be themselves and then know that I'm not going to hurt them, but I'm going to try to figure out if this is who you are and these are the kind of relationships that you want to have, let's figure out what's not working for you and let's figure out, what is working for you and do more of that.
How long does it take for you to get to know somebody? These aren't cookie cutter solutions. You've got this is not one size fits all. Mm-hmm. This is a made for Bill solution or a made for Theo solution.
Right.
You can't do that unless you know who you're dealing with.
Yeah, I think that if you pay attention and you listen really carefully and you don't let your own ego get in the way and if it's not about you as the wise person, I think you can get to know people really quickly. I think that if you open up for them to be able to trust you and know that you're not going to take advantage of them, and you really intensely are genuinely curious, like you're not just asking questions to do an assessment, some sort of mental health assessment to check off a list and come up with a diagnosis. But if you're actually sitting with someone and you're really genuinely asking them questions because you're really curious about who they are and wanting to understand them, I think you can know people pretty quickly.
Can you tell when somebody's BSing?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good at that. I think I am.
Because you're going to ask probing questions in your own way.
Right.
There are some people that have built up walls.
Yeah. And
how do you distinguish between people who don't want to tell you something or those who can't?
Well, you can generally tell. I think I can tell by their response to my questions. If they're struggling with answering because they feel awkward about telling or they feel kind of shut down, I think it's pretty clear.
Do you go in a side door then, or you just say, okay, I'm not going there?
I prefer to ask them what it's about. If we sense that there's a wall there, then I start asking questions about the wall and why it's there. What's the point of it?
Because that's all of a sudden the new topic then.
That becomes
in other words, I kind of need to get through that door, and if you're not going to let me through that door, I need to know why the door's there.
Right. But you know what? I think if you really are interested in people and if you really do ask questions, and I'm not just talking about therapy now, I'm talking about relationships in general with your partner, with your kids. If you genuinely really care about people and you really are interested in them, people will tell you what it is that they need you to know. I think people don't tell people because they're afraid of being hurt, because they've had experiences where people really haven't been that interested in them. But if you create that situation where, if you come to me, Bill, and you sense that I'm really interested in you and I really want to be helpful and I want to get you, I want to know you, not some sort of profile, some sort of, fitting some sort of standard or some psychological analysis. I want to get to know who you are. People love that. People respond to that. We do not get enough of that in our lives where people are that genuinely interested in us, either as coworkers or partners or therapist and client.
How do you get people to open up? Because I'm sure you've had clients that have said, Theo, all you need to know about me is what I want to tell you.
Right.
That's not necessarily going to be helpful, is it?
Again, I don't really have a difficulty with people talking to me because I feel like I really...
Don't go there, Theo. I don't want to talk about that.
And then I'll say, why don't you want to go there? Tell me about that. And they'll tell me. And then once they start telling me about why they don't want to go there, sooner or later they end up telling me. Because they get the sense that I'm not going to hurt them. And I'm really, really genuine.
Is the main problem, and again, here I am saying that there's one solution, and I know that's ridiculous, is that we don't want to feel vulnerable?
Well, no one wants to feel hurt, right? But also, I think it's a challenge to, again, that's that fine line in therapy where you want to accept people for who they are and you don't want to judge them, but you also want to be able to challenge them as well, right? So I think a lot of my clients, a lot of people, they feel a little shut down, both because they're afraid of being hurt, but it's also a bit of a challenge to really be confronted with accountability. It's one thing to complain about your coworker or your kids or your partner because you don't feel like you're getting what you need from them, but it's quite another to be able to say, what am I doing that's contributing to that? And people, again, we've moved a little bit away from accountability in our lives, and I'd like to be able to see more of that.
Which means being honest with ourselves.
Being honest with ourselves and having the courage to hear other people's perceptions of who we are.
That's a pretty big pill to swallow, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
but it's a worthwhile one.
You're talking about self-analysis. A lot of people are very uncomfortable with other people analyzing them.
Right.
I don't want to know what so-and-so thinks about me because I may not like it.
But it's not analysis, you know. I don't think you necessarily have to analyze someone. I think it's just about being able to be curious about them. But, you know, if someone comes into counseling and they want to talk to me about their relationship, I'm not comfortable with them just talking about their experience of the relationship and what they want and what they need. I will very quickly say, I want to meet your partner and have their perspective of you and what they feel of you in the relationship, because that's a whole other area that allows you now to have that accountability where you're not just looking at yourself, but you're looking at how you impact other people.
Is it important for us to make this step? I mean, some people will say, I don't need any assistance. I don't need this. Are those the ones that maybe need it the most?
I oftentimes get people say, oh, Theo, you must deal with a lot of crazy people. That's got to be a difficult job. You must deal with a lot of crazy people. And I say, you know what? I never get to meet the crazy people. I only meet the people who live with them.
It's everybody else's fault. You know, I don't need the help. Theo, talk to them.
Right.
Is that how a lot of the couples' relationships will start?
Right. Well, so when the traditional thing, especially in couples, and unfortunately, it's more of a man thing. Well, you know, it generally starts off with the woman in the relationship saying, you know, we should go to counseling, and the guy saying, I don't have a problem. If you have a problem, maybe you should go talk to someone, right? You know, and then oftentimes I'll see men when it's just about too late. You know, the woman has said, well, I've had enough of it. And then the guy will go, no, let's go for counseling, right? I mean, that's not always the case. I have lots and lots of men who come in and they really want to look at themselves and what they can do differently in a relationship. But, yeah, sorry.
Is there an epiphany every time?
I always feel good when it happens.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always happen. I mean, it's nice to have that moment of insight.
Is there a eureka? I only got about a minute left here. We're just scratching the surface. Is there a eureka moment?
Yes.
Oh my God! Now I understand.
Yeah, sometimes.
Or is it just a long, arduous process?
Oh, I'm not into arduous process. I'm interested in play and experimentation and laughing. So when I'm working with corporate clients and in their workplace about how to work better as a team, it's all about fun, doing activities that people are able to play and be able to deal with issues through play and experimentation. And when I'm working with my clients in counseling, it's not necessarily a long, arduous process. It's more of we laugh a lot in our we tell, you know, we're really laughing at ourselves and laughing at the absurdity of life. And through that comes a lot of creativity. Then maybe we can look at things differently.
Do we want to open up?
I think we do.
We build walls.
I think we do. I think we long for understanding. I think we long for people to know us. I think we long for love. I think we long for someone to look at us and listen to us and really want to get to know us. I think we do.
We have this great big circle of acquaintances, a much smaller circle of people that we call friends.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about the Facebook friends.
Right.
And then a very small circle of confidants.
Yeah.
Is that the problem? There's too few people that we can actually open up to?
Well,
because we're somebody to this group, we're somebody else to this group, but we can really be ourselves here.
I think it's
Shouldn't we really be ourselves with everybody?
I think so. And varying levels of intimacy, right, in terms of what you want to share with different people. But I think that's part of, Integrity Works is about being able to have that experience at work, really feel like you're part of a supportive team of people who really care about you and actually live common values so that you can be that at work. So you don't have to protect yourself at work and feel like your only refuge is at home, because we spend so much time at our work, right? We want to be able to have a better relationship with people around us so we can feel like we can be ourselves and be respected for who we are and feel like we're contributing. We need to have more of that in our larger life besides just one or two people that we can only confide in.
We have so much more to talk about, and we're out of time this time. You got to come back soon.
I will.
This is a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
Theo Selles is with us. The book is called Selfishness Matters, and the website is Integrity Works at WKSWorks.ca. It's written down here in front of me. See you again soon.
It's awesome. Thanks again.
Thanks so much. We will do the break. The Bill Kelly Show, CHML Cable 14.